Hello, good morning. I just wanted to send out a little hello to you and tell you you're wonderful. I've had quite a few clients lately who have actually been, you know what, I just want to become enlightened. I just want to become enlightened. And I've tried to explain them that you don't attain enlightenment. It's not something that you actually get. It's something that you understand that you already are. And so a lot of people, when I speak with them, and I'm trying to explain this concept, they think they still need to go do something, or that they need to find something, or there's like a piece that they're missing in order to become enlightenment. And I'm going to be honest with you, there is nothing that you need to attain other than have the realization that you already are. And that comes, when you're ready. And people then ask me, okay, so when do I know that I'm ready? And trust me, you'll know when you're ready. So there's this mystical kind of assumption out there that enlightenment is this light bulbs on, you become this almost holy figure. And that's not what enlightenment is. Enlightenment is you become more human than you've ever been. You no longer require to be something special. You are excited with your own life as it is, or love your own life as it is, and know that there is nothing missing from you already. So just to give you a little bit of a story or a background in regards to how I came into this experience of knowing that I am an awakened already. In about 2001, 2002, I went to a course, and there was an enlightened woman there, and her name is Esther Veldheim. And halfway through, or about 3/4 of the way through, I got the itch. And what I mean by that is like the ego was becoming antsy. It needed to get out of there. It was too much truth in the ego's face. And so when that truth comes in the ego's face, the first thing it wants to do is run. At least that was my experience. And that's how my whole experience up until then, that was my life. Just run whenever the ego gets to the point where it's some truth's getting in its face. So I told one of the coordinators, because we were working in groups and I didn't want to leave my partner with nobody, I said, look, it's snowing outside. I made some excuse. It's snowing outside. I got to get back to Kananaskis. That's a 45-minute drive. You know what? I don't want to get in an accident if it's snowing. You come up with some sort of excuse, right? We're all that way. We make some sort of lie up. So yeah, anyways. But she went over to Esther, and I got up and Esther came over to me. And Esther put her hands on my shoulder, and she looked me in the eye, more present than anything or anyone in my entire life up until that point had ever been. And I'm talking so present that even today, it's like a cigarette burning your arm. It's that, you never forget it. I can still see her eyes to this day. They're just so almost ingrained in my brain, right? So she put her hands on my shoulder. She looked me straight in the eye, completely present, and she said, it's time for you to stop running. I want you to finish this course, and I want you to stay. And it was just like, okay. So that's what I did. I stayed. And to this day, I still remember that moment so profoundly. But I didn't know why. I didn't know what that was about. I just always knew it was some sort of profound experience. So I went, after I finished the course, I went on with my life. And it was a body talk course. So, I was just learning. I was taking lots of courses at the time. And then fast forward to about 2007, so between 2002 approximately and 2007, somewhere in there, I was taking some courses that were just about working with healing, and then there were other courses that were about creating your own reality, about trying to heal aspects of your personality, taking array of self-help courses, psychology type courses, spiritual type courses. I probably could have bought a house in cash by now with the amount of courses I've taken. I've traveled the world and taken courses. So, that's just an explanation of how much money I've spent in courses. And to tell you the truth, I'm exactly the same person, personality-wise. And I know friends who've known me since I was, 5 years old who know that I am still the same being inside. So spending all that money and all that time, I'm still the same. Still have the same stubborn streak, still have all these things. Like, that's just an example that the personality fundamentally doesn't change. So what does change, though, is life situations. But that isn't really what these self-help courses and philosophical courses and creating reality courses are about, are they? They're about changing the inner aspect of self. So, fast forward to about 2007, and I was doing self-inquiry. Now, something had changed in between about 2006, 2007. I stopped going to courses, and I thought, you know what, I've spent so much money on courses, I think maybe it's time for me to just do some self-work. And so I was doing what's called self-inquiry. And during my self-inquiry, I had an experience where all of a sudden I just heard within me, well, who are you trying to be? And I just instantly knew the moment I heard that, it was just like the lights went on. And I knew that I already am the person I had been so busy trying to be for so many years. I already loved the person I had been so busy trying to be for so many years, but had taken all these courses thinking that I needed to be something else because of someone else's ideal. And when I mean someone else's ideal, it's usually society's. It's usually, there's so many people out there trying to keep up with the Joneses. There's all these ideals that society has created that, they're not real. They're not real, and they're not able to be attained. So in that moment, there was this awakening in me that I knew instantly, wait a second here. If I'm already who I want to be and who I am, and it was just, wow, I already am enlightened. I'm already everything that I need to be. And so in that moment, there was this knowing that of all the experiences I had in regards to trying to create my own reality, in all the experiences I had in taking psychology courses and all these different things where they try to paint a picture of you changing yourself, in all these different experiences, none of it actually became reality. I didn't change anything because I don't have control. I don't. In the end, this facade, the body, the mind, the experience of being Jillian, who that is, will pass away at the end of my life. And then we have to go into looking at what's left. And what's left is, some people call it God, some people call it the void. They're a concept because really we don't really actually know. It's a concept that we use because, the mind wants to grit its teeth into something. It wants to know. It wants to figure things out, right? It needs to grit its teeth in and chew something so it can figure it out. So I'm okay with not knowing whatever that is. But at the end of my life, Jillian no longer exists. So in order for me to have a part in my play, in order for me to be the director in my play, this would have to be real. And in order for something to be real, in order for something to be concrete, it has to be of permanence. And I'm not of permanence because Jillian was born and Jillian will pass away. And Jillian at one time, generation, maybe my daughter will remember, or maybe, my son will remember, or my grandkids, but eventually Jillian will be forgotten. Meaning, I don't remember my great-great-great-grandmother. I don't know her. I don't even know her name. But, so really she is forgotten. She's not real anymore, other than a memory trace somewhere along the line from maybe my grandmother who remembers her. But at the end of the day, once all that passes away, that was never real. It's only a memory trace. And I will become the same. So I am only here to experience this body, this mind, this beautiful earth as I'm experiencing it, the job I'm experiencing, the people that I'm experiencing, interacting with. And so if I was given this gorgeous, wonderful experience to have, why would I need to change it? Why would I want to change it? Because the supreme being or God or whatever you prefer to call it, the void, nothingness, whatever you prefer to call it, existence, it has such an intelligence. Why would I want to change what it already knows? Why would I think as an ego that I have so much more intelligence to know what's right for me or what I need to experience in this lifetime? Why would I think that I know better than it? And so that's when you get to the point of understanding, and that's when you awaken, is when you realize there's nothing you need to change within yourself. There's nothing you need to do. There's nothing that needs to change on the inside of you. You love yourself for every single quality exactly, and I mean that truly, exactly as you are. And so, your journey, you might need to take 4,000 courses, but it was never a single course that awoke me. It was never a book that awoke me. And by the way, I don't read books anymore. I do not take courses anymore. I might say I want to fix a car. That's different, right? But I no longer take self-help, spiritual, or, philosophical, create your own reality courses, because I know that not one of those were real. Not one of those actually changed who I was at the core, because I'm exactly the same person I was as 2002, as when I was in 2002. So, for you that have come to me and talked to me and say, I just want to reach enlightenment, meditate. And I'm not saying meditation will help either. It may not for you, but clearing the mind and watching your thoughts is very powerful, because it really, and this is my experience, it really helps you to be able to almost separate and watch yourself and the ego and how it talks. And you begin to see that the personality that is, say, Jillian, that is I at this experience at this time, the personality that is Jillian is just really, if you take 5 different, and it's really thousands and hundreds of thousands of balls of yarn, and you intertwined them all, that is, and each ball of yarn is a different aspect of your personality, and they're intertwined. And if you've ever had thrown Christmas lights, for example, in a bucket when you take them down off your house, and they're all tangled, and they take like an unbelievable amount of time to untangle them. If you've ever had that experience, that's what your personality is like. It is so intertwined, it is so entangled that, you can't untangle them. It's just, there's hundreds of thousands of aspects of personality, like those balls of yarn, as if they were all tied together and wrapped together. And there's so many aspects that if you changed one aspect, even just one, took out one ball of yarn, then you wouldn't be you, and you came here to be you. And I know it probably sounds extremely challenging to understand. And it is, because enlightenment doesn't come from the brain. The brain is the ego. That's those balls of yarn. Enlightenment is you become more human. You accept those balls of yarn as they are. You accept this being as you are. And you understand that you have no control over anything anyway. So you might as well just enjoy it, really. And so in becoming even more human, in becoming more ordinary, in accepting the life that you have, there's a joy and an instant peace that comes. And so one of the questions one of my clients asked me was, well, okay, so if I understand that I already am enlightenment, is there an instantaneous, like, I just have this instant peace and everything else falls away? And no, that's not, that happens for some people, but it really is a rarity. Most of the time, enlightenment is a relative process. So, I kind of use the example of, remember as a kid when you get on, and this, anybody who's my age would understand that, on a playground they had those twirl whirls and you'd get on them and you'd push with your feet and go around in circles and round circles until you'd get so freaking dizzy that you'd jump off. Well, when you jump off, you had powered that thing to keep going, and keep going. And when you jumped off, it didn't stop instantaneously, it kept going. And so when it actually kept going, this is what's happening. You're no longer pushing the ego like that twirl whirl, but that twirl whirl is still going. So it takes time for that ego to slow down. It takes time for, when you begin to realize you are not the body, you are not the mind, it takes time for those old programs to come to a halt. So don't feel like just because you get the understanding of, I am enlightenment, that it's going to be an instantaneous, you have no programming left, because that's not how it works. And so this knowingness that I have, I'm not the body mind, I'm not the programming within me, has allowed a peace to come forward. It has allowed an instantaneous, I can't even describe it, because you become so human. When we take a look at the sages or the gurus of the past, the beings of who are enlightened, they're not the ones on TV. They're not the ones who are, needing to be popular, needing attention. They're the most ordinary, down to earth. A lot of times they're the servants, because they know that you're here to serve people. And that's ultimately what this is about in the end, is once you release the ego, or once the ego releases, and once things begin to fall away, you become more of a servant than you really do of a doer, of a needing to progress, of a needing to be the ego, be the, be the popular or the famous one. So anyways, if you have any questions or you'd like to know anything else, let me know, because, that's how I can communicate with you, is through things like this. But I've had so many people lately who keep saying, I want to attain enlightenment. And you know what? It's not something you attain. It's something you realize that you already are. I hope you have a great day. Bye.